Go ahead and hit the go live button
Cool.
and take us out to a different page. And I'll take a look, and hopefully in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're rocking and rolling. Let me check it out. Might be a little bit of a lag. It says that we are good to go. So welcome to Wise Beyond Bitcoin. We've got a special edition live stream. Of course, we had some problems last Monday, but we told you we'd be back. So here we are. I am Lucas.
I'm Ryan.
And we're here to help wise up on crypto, talk about DeFi, talk about NFTs, talk about what's going on with Wise Token. We have a special guest today. He'll be on here in a couple minutes. He sent me a message saying I'll be right there. It's René, the mathematician of the official Wise Token team. And of course, he's still been working with the team to continue the amazing stuff that they've got going on to interop with Binance and other blockchains and to develop the tokenomics to build these communities, to bridge these communities together. There's a lot of exciting stuff to talk about that. So I look forward to René and catching up with him on what's going on with Wise Token. But we were talking right before this stream kicked on. Hopefully everything's coming through. If you guys can hear us and see us, hit the like button. If you have any questions about crypto in general, this is a little AMA interactive discussion. So speak your heart and let's wise up together. I think I see René is popping on. What's going on, brother?
Up? What's up? How are you guys doing? Good. How are you doing, René? Pretty good, pretty good. It's pretty late here, but I don't mind to, having a nice talk.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to come out and to catch us up with. I know you guys have been real busy keeping the fires burning with Wise Token. I'm really excited to talk about what you guys. I know a little bit about it, but I know you can shed a lot of light for me, for Ryan, and for anyone listening. And guys, this is René, the official mathematician of Wise Token, the innovative Ethereum smart contract ETH bond with locked liquidity on Uniswap. I mean, it's only a couple months old, and you want to talk about, I'm not a TA expert, you want to talk about time to get in. It's close to the price floor, I think. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot of exciting things. But without further ado, what are some of the things maybe you want to talk about on your mind with what you guys got going on?
Oh, we can talk about so many things. I mean, we can talk about the Binance launch. We can talk about visibility in general, how the market, crypto market in general is going. We can talk about the recent thing which happened in paid network.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about that. Let's do it. Ryan, yeah. You just read something about that. What did you come across? You were just saying?
Just something about an exploit. Potentially, I believe 3 million is what it said. 3 million in paid was what sent out and stolen, I believe, by a hacker, and that created a lot of FUD in that project, and there's massive sell-offs today. I think last time I saw it was down 89% for the day. Mm-hmm. I looked a bit into it, and it seems that he printed 57 million paid tokens, and I actually have the address of him, and I can give it to you. Nice. 1 sec.
And yeah, and apparently the team, they were able to take a snapshot, and they're telling people to hold on to your stuff, and they'll restore your balances. And so, Ethereum pretty much did something like this with Ethereum Classic. I mean, I'm not a developer expert, but I mean, isn't that, René, are you familiar? Isn't that pretty much the split between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic was people rolling back the chain?
That's true, but I'm not super familiar with that. I haven't looked into that. That was before my time.
It was basically a similar exploit, and to prevent him from ruining the chain, they rolled it back and pruned it off and said, we're just going to start it over. And I mean, maybe not the exact same, but similar. So NEM, I know the NEM protocol. I got out of them before the pump, of course. That's the rule of crypto. Anytime you get out of something, it pumps afterwards. But I held on to NEM for years, and then I got out of it, and it pumps this year, of course. But I got out of it because it's a quasi-centralized, kind of like the Ripple of the East. I mean, they've been doing great work, and there was a hack in NEM a year or two ago, and they were able to basically remove that person's wallet, track them down, and make their wallet. So for me, I was like, okay, so this is the Orwellian side of crypto. It's the Orwellian side of crypto, where they have an incomplete protocol that has hacks, and then they justify needing regulators to come in and save you, even though those regulators are the same people that can shut off your address whenever they want.
Right. It kind of invalidates the whole idea without without it being an obvious. But it's like an indicator that, hey, there's something's not right about these sorts of projects that are able to be hacked, and then there's this centralizing mommy figure that comes in and makes it okay. It's like, well, I thought we were supposed to be building urgent,
right,
uncontrolled systems here that have no points of control or centralization.
And there you can talk about one of the great use cases as Bitcoin as the premier store value. Bitcoin as the original premium cryptocurrency blockchain hasn't had one of those happen.
Right. That's true. I mean, they had this inflation bug, which was.
That's true. That's true. Which was found and patched up. But there was a couple. No, that's true. That's true.
Right. That's true.
I sent you the address if you through Telegram. If you can pull it up, because there you see that he still has the paid tokens, so he can still dump it. Like it dropped 80%. He can still dump that liquidity pool to actually zero. And if you go to the ERC20 transfers, you can see that.
So this is the actual address of the person who. Okay. Well.
Yes.
So for all you, here's the research. René, the mathematician of Wise, just went ahead and did a little easy private investigation. This is the actual contract address of the hacker who found the exploit. And look, you can say it is what it is. I think in this Wild West of stuff, I wouldn't even say it's a bad thing. I mean, better to find out that there's a bug in your stuff now before this product rolls out a year, 2, 3 down the road. I mean, it's a good thing that they figured this out.
I see it the same way. He didn't break any rules. The rules were the code. He found an exploit. It still sucks for the people, and I'm very, very sorry if you were in paid token. Don't get me wrong, like by any stretch. But if you can just put go to the drop down menu.
I think I had a little bit in paid token, something small. I'm not one of the early, but from what I remember, it was about automating legal contracts.
Right.
If I remember correctly, it was about automating contracts between people. That was supposed to be the ecosystem. I think that's what, if I remember reading correctly, and that was my interest. Because I'll find something. I'm not a whale in anything, but I'm a guppy. I'm like a little guppy, Oh, do not buy or sell. Okay, so they've shut down talking about it because of what happened.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Simple, smart agreements, incentivized lending, arbitration, reputation scoring. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty neat. Smart agreements make business exponentially more efficient. I think it's great, and it's on the Polkadot network, or it's to be working with the Polkadot network, from what I understand. I know it's an ERC20 now.
And if you look at the address, can you pull up Etherscan one more time?
Yep.
If you go to the drop down menu of the token, you see that he still has 56 million, and it's crazy, right?
Jeez.
And he also has $3 million worth of ETH.
Jeez.
And if you go to the ERC20 transaction list down below.
ERC2.
You see that
transactions or ERC20?
No, you're already right there. You see like value, for example, here, like value 200,000 paid.
Mm-hmm.
So he dropped, like he sold like 200,000 paid every minute basically, and then he stopped 3.5 hours ago. And now it's only 200 ETH left in the pool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like every time I come on, something weird happened, right? Last time was GameStop.
Yeah, that's right.
Now
that's right.
That's very interesting.
Well, there's a lot happening, and it feels like every time is sped up in the last couple of years. We live in a week or a month. What a series of events are packed into that time that we would have expected over a longer period of time in the past. It's happening. As the kids say.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
So overall, the broader markets, though, Bitcoin and everything looks like it's starting to kind of reset itself and come back. It's about to be. We just crossed over a key Fibonacci line at 48.5, and now we're at 49. So the bull market is not dead. It doesn't seem.
And it looks like Cardano just woke up. I saw that flattening happening for a bit, and it looks like it's starting to get some pressure again. I thought it was a little built up too much pre-Mary hard fork. I saw that the price was built in a lot, and then there was a sell-off even before the Mary hard fork. And, but now it cooled off, and it looks like now it's picking up steam. It seems to be in a good position if you're, into the competing smart contract platforms. I've seen Cardano around for years, and if there was a time to get in, I guess this would be it, considering the fact that they plan to be rolling out functioning projects if they don't already have some stuff beginning to be built out. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, the way I understand Wise, and correct me if I'm wrong, René, but I was talking about this, I think, with Devin the other day. And one of the things that I love about Wise, I mean, the foundation of just the Ethereum based protocol monetizing time, that to me is the sweet spot to mimic on other platforms. But with what's going on with Binance, and let's say Casper, or let's say Polkadot, or another chain, let's say we find another chain that has a good, strong, decentralized community and a strong asset backing up. We can actually kind of create a family of Wise from different blockchains that are meant to arbitrage or find a balance with each other, the way the Binance chain is doing a buyback. It would be interesting to find something like that with different chains through Wise, where there's always a connection trying to feed the lower chain.
Yeah, I mean, I read a good post from someone, I don't remember who it was, that in a sense, if the incentive pools work as they intend to be, and then the question is also what chain is going to be targeted, the one who is performing worse in USD terms or relative to the underlying asset. It's also another question we can talk about, which could be better. I see arguments on both sides, but let's say you always target the worst performing ones relative to all the others. Then it doesn't really matter in which Wise you are. And at the same time, you are always exposed to the other ones doing good. So you're actually, let's say you have Cardano Wise, but then you're also rooting for the other ones, because if the other ones are doing good, then you get incentivized, right? And sure, if you're doing good, you don't get incentivized, but you're still doing good. It's not like you're going to get arbitraged down. So you profit basically from everyone else doing good, including your own chain, which you decided to invest in.
Yeah, it's like a lot of upside with minimal downside. Is the way I think that's what I get out of what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's sort of basically, it's like a passive index fund for all the other blockchains as well. Where you're on, obviously, if you're on some sort of blockchain and there's Wise on a blockchain which is going down, for some reason, and you keep incentivizing it and just targeting this, but the asset is going down in USD value, that's a whole other story, obviously. But who would want to do that anyway?
Right.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, the question, I guess I wonder what the difference would be between USD as the metric or like the other currencies. I wonder if have you thought about what kind of implications that has?
Interesting, right?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
That in my mind real fast. What do I come up with?
Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest, because if, let's say, we do it versus USD, that means it's still sensitive to the asset going down versus USD. So that means if the asset is doing bad, it's going to be faster incentivized, meaning that people are then incentivized to buy that asset and then buy Wise with it. Yeah, it's messy in my head when I
it
think
is.
about
Yeah,
it.
to really think about it, take time.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of. I feel like the USD price would be, that links it to an economy and money that has a lot. It could potentially have a lot of volatility. Whereas when you link it to the crypto as being the standard, at least you're kind of isolating yourself from those, and you're just looking in terms of crypto. And the differences, the relative differences in crypto projects can become more of the focus, I think. But then again, it's just a hunch. I got to really sit there and think about this.
Yeah. I mean, if you just compare it to the underlying asset, what you basically do if the amount of liquidity is different from chain to chain, that is a whole other story. But let's assume the liquidity is about the same, then it would need the same amount of economic energy to move the price, right?
Right.
Relative to that asset. So it could be a better metric.
Right.
Because then you have the correct sort of sentiment on that chain. Like, okay, this is performing the worst versus its own asset compared to all the others. This means people actually bought less of the economic energy in terms of that asset,
right,
relative to all the other assets, sort of.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll chew on that, and we'll see what
what
more questions we come up with.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I like about the connection to Binance is that we're so young in cryptocurrency. There's so much that can happen with these different chains and the projects and what can be developed. We just don't know who's going to be the first, who's going to make it in creating something that's actually efficient and usable and onboarding and exposing people to these different projects. And I see it like an HOV lane and the fast lane and the slow lane. We may have many different roads to get there. It may not be to see who's the one that wins them all, and having exposure to different chains, I think exposes. What I love is that this exposes the Wise token community to people who are maybe maximalists or fans of specific chains, right? Like if you love the Ethereum chain and you're all Ethereum, you're going to be exposed to Wise token as an ETH bond on Wise. If you love Binance and what Binance has to offer, and you think it's the paving the way, well, you could still be exposed to Wise token, have that connection, and connect that down to other chains. That's, to me, it's that's another one of the innovative and beautiful features that I'm really excited about moving into the future, because DeFi was a wave. NFTs are definitely going to be huge moving forward, and also are going to be projects that create actual tangible bridges, protocols, layers that connect different large crypto communities. And Ethereum and Binance are two of the largest.
Right. Yeah, I think interoperability is going to be the watchword going forward. Just making bridges, bringing these networks together, because I think the vision, at least my vision, and I know Lucas as well, was that we don't need to have a monopoly form of money. That's what the Bitcoin maximalists don't get. It's like there's no argument for just one. The whole idea is to have a whole basket of currencies that are all privately produced, so they compete with each other, and they're not a centrally planned thing.
You mean like a check and balances?
Right, exactly. I mean, so that's why would the crypto market, follow the logic of the monopolized, regulated, centrally planned money markets? When there should be variety, and that variety should be interoperable. There should be prices in markets and connections between all these things. It makes it so much easier to move between them.
Hey, I don't know if you guys have done this, but I just smashed the like button, and I'm gonna tell the 16 people watching now, y'all better smash that like button to make it look like the YouTube algorithms love crypto, DeFi, and ethical, equitable use of blockchain technology as we all educate each other. So smash the like button. Do that good stuff. Help our algorithms. And if you're new to the stream, you just hopped on, we're here with René, the mathematician of Wise Token, the first ETH bond, on Ethereum bond on the blockchain. I mean, it's amazing. It's locked liquidity on Uniswap, the largest decentralized exchange, and it's only a couple months old. And it's working to build bridges off of Ethereum onto other chains. So we're also talking about all things crypto. So if you have questions about DeFi, paid hack, anything going on, feel free to ask René or any of us a question, a little AMA.
You want to pull up that WISE chart and do a little TA on that? We don't need a serious TA, just a little quick look. I just love the way it's still holding such a good level for being such a young project.
I know. You look at other projects. I've been in projects that dump below their launch and that stay for years, for months. I mean, go look at Cardano. You know what's funny is people are saying that Cardano is doing so great that it passed its all-time high. It hasn't. That's nominal based on the U.S. dollar price because of inflation. If you look at the Bitcoin valuation, it hasn't come close to where it was at a couple years ago. A Cardano, if you bought Cardano with Bitcoin, you're still down.
Right.
You may be up in nominal dollars amount, but you would have been better off hodling your Bitcoin 2 or 3 years ago.
But that's partly a function of how Bitcoin has moved in the last few months.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about from Cardano from back in 2018 when it first launched. I'm saying if you've been hodling Cardano, let's look at this, and that's what people don't get, the beauty of WISE token. That's why I'm glad you said let's go take a look at the price chart, because I'm also going to take a look at I'm on this. We're going to come back to this. I got this NFT, top NFTs by market cap. I thought that'd be kind of cool to look at. Take a look at the NFT craze. But let's hit Cardano and flip to the BTC, because it's so deceiving when people look at the dollar. They're always looking at dollar prices. Oh, look what this is doing. But the dollar's been heavily devalued over the last few years. So here it's starting to come up. And oh, come on. Oh, there it is, BTC. So there's the dollar valuation, right?
Yeah.
Let me click in BTC. Oh, look at that. So here you go.
Not as impressive.
Here you go. You're looking at, it's like the magician. That's what I love. It's like people are looking at these prices and they're thinking, oh, Cardano's mooning. No, it's not. It hasn't even come. It's way down here. Now, it can still be bullish because look, it's come up past this peak. It's come up past this peak. So you could say that Cardano is getting ready to pass its all-time high, but it hasn't even come close. Cardano hasn't even come close to its all-time highs. And I'm not saying that it should. I'm not saying that the value is there. I'm just saying, like, with everything, let's look at everything. Binance, Ethereum, Polkadot, other chains, Matic, other chains are creating real functioning projects right now that people are using, and that's where the flow, that's where the money's going. So, I just, this story tells it all, and that's why people say take profit in Bitcoin. Because if you're focusing on the dollars, you're missing your eyes focusing on the dollar. They're taking Bitcoin away from your wallet, and you're not even looking at it.
Right.
I actually want to talk. Also, I actually want to talk about something with Bitcoin, because something I realized recently, and I'm curious what you guys think about this. Because let's talk a bit about some Bitcoin maximalist arguments, what they make. Like, for example, from down-talking Ethereum, for example. One of the arguments that they're making is they say, well, if Ethereum switches to proof of stake, it's going to be unsecure, because if some entity has more than 50%, they can change the rules, which is correct in a sense. But then one could argue that, well, yeah, but if you want to have DeFi or smart contract interactions, you cannot do that on Bitcoin, because transaction fees, and it's not the same code base at the moment, And then they will say, yes, but you can have Bitcoin second layers, and you can do all of that there. But what they're missing is that the Bitcoin second layers have the same trade-off issue between security and performance, right? So it doesn't matter. Like, you can build all sorts of Bitcoin second layers, but they cannot use the same proof of work mechanism as layer one. Well, and then their argument is,
you're right. I was just saying, and to agree with you, they have the same problem. Bitcoin can tends to centralization. And if people are in control of 51% of the mining, then they can double spend and they can screw people over. So, and there's already most of Bitcoin, 65% in China and I guess 90% plus. I'm just making this number up, by the way, but a huge percentage. Oh, if 65% in Chinese corporate farms, imagine the government run subsidized farms around the world that are mining Bitcoin. The reality is that it's so centralized and heavily controlled that it'd be easy to coordinate a Bitcoin move. Like it's so easy for me to see a few years down the road where you have the large mining factories to make a decision on which way they want to go with Bitcoin and do another fork. I mean, it's that.
Yeah, that's conceivable for sure.
Yeah. For example, but even taking that aside, like just talking about DeFi and like interaction with smart contracts, and if you look at Bitcoin second layer solutions, they would also need either some sort of proof of stake, which then sort of defeats their other argument. But then they will say, yes, but why doesn't Ethereum, for example, when it has proof of stake, run on Bitcoin? They say that you don't need to have your own coin. You can just run on Bitcoin, which in theory is possible. But then you have the second layer. Let's say Ethereum would switch to red Bitcoin, for example, right? You would still have the centralization in that you have to lock Bitcoin on the main layer in order to give out red Bitcoin on the second layer. And how does that work? It's obviously centralized because someone has to lock it, and you have to have trust in that they are locked. You know, there's always some centralization. You could decentralize it a bit more. For example, if you use Polkadot, and you have those, you sort of validate those lockings with a chain from with a side chain from Polkadot, which sort of tests this logic and says yes, it's locked, and we can confirm that, and they have to always check that yes, it's still locked. You can use those tokens here, and the other side, okay, you're not allowed to print tokens. Check the logic, okay, and this is what Polkadot does. But already you would have a use case for another chain, which is called Polkadot. So yeah.
So the Bitcoin maximalist argument just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
In any direction you look at it.
Yeah. Not from a mature market, just a natural market perspective. Take away the fanboy and take away this idea that this has. The reality is that Bitcoin's not ready to deal with the world. I mean, you can't spend the transactions; it's too expensive. It would get bogged down. The reason why that would be like saying everyone needs to drive a Ford Model T. The Ford Model T is the car. Every iteration is just a copy. It's like, why do you want to make... Oh, it's just an engine and four wheels and a transmission. We've already done that. You're just a copy. It's like, yeah, I know, but it's a little bit cushier in this newer car. We got automatic windows. We got power seats, heated seats. It's like, yeah, whatever. We don't need all those fancy doohickeys. You can always add that to the Ford Model T. Just grab a Ford Model T and throw some heated seats there. It's like, look, man, the Ford Model T wasn't really made for heated seats and to carry all this stuff. It's like, that's literally Bitcoin maximalism is funny because it flies in the face of this technology is supposed to be revolutionary to take away the idea of monopolistic currencies, monopolistic institutions, decentralization. And now something that was founded on decentralization has a church, a religious group behind it saying that
it must be the one.
It must be the one and no else. It's like actually what you would prefer to see, like that Bitcoin hack that was exploited a long time ago, the inflation bug you talked about. What would you rather see in a market like this are multiple cryptocurrencies interoperating with each other, like it back in the days where, did you know that a long time ago when there was paper was backing up commodity money, there were many different banks all over the world, and you could have an ounce of gold backed by a French bank. You can have an ounce of gold backed by a Spanish bank. You can have an ounce of gold backed by a bank in the American colonies, because an ounce is an ounce by weight. And that's how money used to be. You could exchange it between different ways. So it created a check and balances. Of course, if some banks were printing more money than they had the reserves, then the other bank would be able to put a check on them by cashing on those notes. Yeah. So, that's what we want to see. We want to see different crypto banks being a check and balances and helping keep the system pure. For people to just be maximalists are to be exposing themselves to too much vulnerability. Now you're making yourself too vulnerable. What if this isn't the one? Now we're all doomed to find out what's the next one. It's like what we'd rather see is a system that's so saturated that if there is a problem with one, it doesn't even matter. Like if you were to find out like all the TVs that Sony sold this year are defunct and broken, it wouldn't be like, oh no, everyone won't be able to see TV anymore. It'd be like, oh, okay, well, they're going to be hurting for business. Now everyone's going to buy Lenovo or something else or blah, blah, blah. Fill in the blank.
You know, kind of what you're saying is exactly right. And it reminds me of a point about that I heard recently made that it's really important to have smart people in charge of things. Why is that? Because it's counterintuitive. Like when you're talking about leading a government or leading a corporation or something big like that. And the reason is because if you put a dumb person in one of those positions of power, their mistakes have the ability to screw up the lives of like untold numbers of people. So you at least want somebody who's thoughtful and who's going to make somewhat of a careful decision. But in another circumstance, like say, just in your neighborhoods, in your communities, like who runs the little league team or who flips burgers at the local burger place. Those decisions don't require your experts and your most productive, smart people, because if they screw up, the consequences are mitigated. They only spill out so far. And that's kind of what I see the parallel between what you're saying and between that idea and what you're saying about money is that if you have a money that's the one and someone hacks it or it gets corrupted or whatever, it gets centralized, however, then guess what? Your society just lost its only form of money. Yeah. And now you're screwed. Or it's not lost, perhaps, but it's devalued or it's distorted or it's not as efficient. And it screws everything up. Whereas if you have a competing system with many layers, any one can fail and the system remains resilient and it can continue. And it mitigates the distance that the damage travels.
Take this decentralization idea and extend it to cryptocurrencies as well, right? Why stop there? Like, right? And also one thing, which I have to say, like, I love Bitcoin as well. Like, it's awesome. It paved the way and so on. And I'm not saying it's obsolete or anything. Like, just let it compete and let's see who wins, right? But what people also maybe not realize is that one of the main development companies, which are sort of supporting like making new code and new solutions and so on for the Bitcoin main layer is Blockstream. And I don't know if you know that. Maybe a lot of people didn't know that, but I'm like 90% sure that their CEO, Adam Back, is actually Satoshi.
You think the CEO of Blockstream is actually Satoshi?
Yes. I'm like 90% sure.
I didn't know his name, but I've heard that claim.
Yeah, I was a bit obsessed with that because I like detective stories. I wanted to know
Adam Back?
what's going on. Adam Back, yeah. I'm pretty sure. And imagine if he is not a CEO anymore and someone else with different, thoughts about decentralization and so on becomes CEO. And then developments on Bitcoin. Of course, the miners have to vote on the developments in some sort of way. Mm-hmm. But
it's so easy to influence miners.
Yeah.
Oh, I should say that. I don't. Yeah. I was going. Maybe that was a little too.
It's easy to influence people.
There we go. Thank you. That's what I meant.
Yeah. It's not against the miners, right? I mean, who secures the networks if they're not there, right? So it's not a. We're just trying to objectively look at the risks from centralization anyway, even inside the distribution of different currencies. So competition is always good there, right?
I'm going to say this is neat what's going on here. There's another project that is freaking amazing that I'm going to spend more time delving into. And I've spoken firsthand with one of he's not a developer, but I guess he's a helps the development team. Have you heard of Verus?
Verus?
No.
Well, I mean, this project is right up our alley. I mean, it's all about decentralization. It's all about ethics. They're built off of, well, they're a soft fork of Komodo. And Komodo has a solid team, has been around for a long time. And what they are is they're split between staking and mining, a proof of power protocol. And they've already been tested. They don't roll anything out until it's tested. And they don't talk about things till they've done it. They got a great YouTube channel. Great. I listen to them on their team on Clubhouse, and I've talked to a few of the members, and it's still in the beginning. It's only a couple months old. I mean, it's literally new. But if you go to their wallet, their desktop, you can hold ERC20s, you can hold Bitcoin, you can hold different blockchains in their wallet. And they're working to allow people to build tokenized assets on their blockchain. They already have cheap microtransactions. They have built to allow people to have microtransactions and privacy. What they decided for their chain is not to build something like Ethereum and other chains that are like, well, we're going to figure out privacy later. Because right now, there's no privacy on Bitcoin or Ethereum or these networks. It's like, oh, that's your address? Okay, let me see everything you've ever done. Right. And so this is actually a chain that has the privacy built in. There's no ICO. There's no pre-mine. And it's relatively new, and it can be mined off of a CPU and staked, mined or staked. You don't need to have ASIC mining equipment. And yeah, it's
that sounds interesting.
It's freaking cool. And I've got to give a shout out. There's a guy on YouTube, and I don't even know if he has his name is Oink, and he's got a long beard, and he's a computer guy. That's his name is Oink. He's got a long hair computer, and he works on computers, and he does stuff behind the scenes for them. But he's posted some videos. Let me see. He's posted some videos to show people just how to work through the interface, how to work through the wallet, how to bootstrap, and how to back up your wallets and your wallet.dat files, all that. Now, they're talking about the community vision, truth and privacy, DeFi redefined. This is a community and a project that I'm excited to learn more about and, teach and share and be a part of for sure. Because this is learn, knowledge, community. That's what they're about. I'm trying to find my friend Oink out here. Gosh, God bless.
Oink is hiding.
He's hiding. I want to show you what this guy looks like, but anyway, I'll find it later. They've got some videos that show you how to. Wait a minute. You know what? I bet you he's behind the scenes here. I bet you he's the guy behind the scenes. Let's see if. Yep, there he is. That's the man. That's the man. That's my man. Oink, thank you so much, brother. And look, this guy knows his stuff. He is a wizard.
This guy looks like he knows his shit.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he knows. He knows his stuff. And so I'm gonna give you the rundown of what happened real quick. I wanted to experiment with Verus. I do that. I get just a little bit so I can try to work my way through and figure out how things work. And I downloaded the wallet. I'm figuring stuff out. Well, I had Komodo a long time ago, so I had it on the same wallet. And you can do something with Verus that they have is you can create your own ID connected to your address, an ID like your email. Like right now, you can go on Verus and you can create René, Ryan. Create your own private ID. And right now, you can probably get your own name because there's not a lot of people who've done it yet, right? Because once you create an ID, you own it for life. Mm-hmm. You take that ID. It's like @Ryan, @whatever. People can pay you directly. They don't need your address. They can just send it to your ID.
I see.
And it goes.
Right. It's a more easy way, like a faster way to send someone money.
But it gets better. You can authorize other people to help you to have access in case something happens and it gets compromised. So here's what happened. I thought I screwed up and locked myself out of my funds, the money that I had in Verus. I sent this guy my info, like, dude, I've tried everything. I'm locked out. This wallet file's not working. I can't get it to pull up. He saw my user error, was able to figure it out. But when he did so, he saw all my private keys. So therefore, in theory, I wouldn't be able to have, if I spent money buying my ID, there goes my ID. I'm screwed. No, better. They have that figured out. He was able to send it to my new address. So I keep my ID and it's now secured on my new address that he doesn't have the private keys to. They've
Nice.
already thought this stuff out. You see what I'm saying? It's a brilliant protocol. So I just want to give him a shout out. Not only did he help me recover my funds, he just helped me see just how to better work the protocol. So I would love to see a Wise token connection and bridge in the future. I know these things are like we're so much stuff working on, but it's just cool to see other solid blockchains and communities that have an eye on decentralization and ethics and security. And you know, you hear about the paid network. You know, I put a little bit, not a lot, because those are all high risk. We all know that those projects that have these roadmaps and promises, isn't that what we love about Wise? You know, the truth is, we go back to this chart, no hacks. No hacks, no millions of dollars run out on a Wise token, no massive dumps. You've had the traditional, normal sell-offs. The reality is that the whole crypto market cooled off after the pump.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big
Yep.
pump up. Then the whole crypto market's been sideways. It hasn't done much since then. And you're going to have a natural sell-off when some people 10x their money from the early liquidity phase. So for it to be settled at 2 to 3x off of its launch price, you know, I've just been around crypto too long for me to look at Wise in any negative light. It's just funny to me for people that have expectations like, dude, you don't see what a gem you're sitting on. Sit on it and buy the dip and look at the value that's being built out, because this is like a brand new community that's just growing, getting bigger. And then go look at Cardano. Go look at Cardano. Go look at what happened to these poor people. Go look at Cardano is one of the largest blockchains in cryptocurrency, largest market caps. It's considered a blue chip right now. It's one of the 23 that Grayscale say they're going to start opening to their clients to have exposure to. This is one of the big dogs, and you're going to sit there and huff and puff over how Wise performed when there has been one hack, one exploit, because it's an audited, complete, locked code, and all it does is give people equal access through time. The only downfall to Wise right now is the fees on Ethereum. It's just the Ethereum blockchain having to catch up with how expensive. But when you look at this, I look at this and I'm like, dang, man, all these people who bought Cardano here and 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 throughout here and throughout
And that was
here.
back in 18. That's 18.
Yeah, that's back in 2018.
Yeah, that's not even like recently. That's been a minute now.
You better have some diamond ass hands, buddy. If you think that you're ready for crypto, that's why I always tell people what I love about Wise. Stake that for 2 to 3 years. Don't be stupid. Don't expect to beat the market. If you have Wise, stake it for 2 to 3 years and smile later. If you go look at what developers are saying right now, they're talking about who's going to be the leader in 6 years from now. We're so early in blockchain smart contract development. No one's going to see a winner in the next 6 months. You're not going to be like, oh, here's the winner. It's like, this is such an early stage that we're going to be having the same conversation a year from now. Who do you think is going to be winning a year from now? You know, so it's like, stake it for a year, stake it for 2 or 3 years, and be smart. Wear a t-shirt, says to your friends, I was staking on the Ethereum Wise blockchain before you even knew what a blockchain was. You know, because that's how early we're all still in this market right now. I don't want to miss out. There's people. Oh, yeah, Grant Roger cleared something up for me. I didn't know what DAO he was talking about. He was talking about the ETH Classic split off and how that happened. Jacob says, what do you guys think of Sora's blockchain and their ecosystem and Polkadot? I don't know about them, so I'll have to do more research. And someone said, are we comparing Wise to ADA? No, I'm not comparing Wise to ADA. I'm just talking about cryptocurrency markets and what to expect in market psychology. That's what I'm looking at. And if you're in a project that's been around for years, know the cycles. We can do the same thing with Bitcoin. We can go to Ethereum. We can look at other cryptos. But what I am saying is that with all the attention Cardano's getting right now for saying, you'll hear a lot of crypto YouTubers saying it's an all-time high, all-time high. And this is where Ryan and I come in. Now, I mean, no, we're not the only ones, but this is what I love about the economic look. It's looking beyond the nominal. There's nominal value and there's real value. And most people, when they look at market prices in finance, they're often focusing on nominal prices. They're looking at the nominal values, the price, the price, the price, the price. But real value is what economics is studying all about. It's saying, well, what can you get for the exchange of your dollars? You may have more dollars, but can you still get the same amount of apples? Can you still get the same amount of oil? Can you still get the same amount of groceries? So
yeah, you adjust for the changes in the value of the currency.
Absolutely,
because that's distorting.
And right now, people are getting a distorted look on crypto in general, not just Cardano, but other cryptos. If they think that everything is like doing so bullish, it's like, well, yeah, what you're seeing is a fire sale on the dollar. You're seeing a burning of fiat currency against cryptos, but we really haven't seen this kind of move. We haven't seen this kind of move. One could argue that this is when a lot of institutional investment came in and bought
back then
on the dips. Potential down in here. I mean,
yeah,
that's 19 and 20 for sure.
Yeah, then definitely.
Yeah,
if they're smart, and most of them are.
Well, because this is back when you heard the Jamie Dimon FUD back here. Oh, you're stupid, and over here you're hearing it should be 1% of your portfolio.
How times have changed. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I brought that article to your attention earlier today, Lucas. We were talking about it.
Which one?
The fund manager from Tim Bond, and his little statement about how Bitcoin is an extreme form of libertarian anarchism, and it could be inefficient and disruptive and upset the government's ability to spend and tax and redistribute, and we should just be really, we should be very, concerned about that risk. We're just not.
We shouldn't be concerned about the risk that the government controls how the other thing is going. No.
Forget that.
Because they know their shit, right? They know exactly what they're doing. Sure.
I always think it's funny when these insiders come out with this, like, the sky is falling things about, you're ruining my scam.
Yeah.
And we're like, that's a feature.
That reminds me, that's, I look forward over the next year or two as we build our website and channel, because Ryan and I are working on retooling our website. We're excited about in the future, when you go to our site, it's going to be a hub for just monetary education and crypto education with it. So people know about monetary history, the difference between commodity-backed money, fiat-backed money, and Bitcoin and blockchain and DeFi. We really want people to have a better understanding of the value of this space. It's not about getting rich and then worrying about scammers and hackers. See, I think these stories about a hacker is for people who are ignorant about Bitcoin to wait for regulators to say, oh, that's why we need regulators. It's like, no. That's not true. This is what happens in any market. You need these things to happen so that we can find out the holes in the ship that what needs to get fixed. The regulators aren't going to prevent this. They're just going to let the same thing happen also. These hacks happen no matter who you put in charge. But the funny thing to me is about when we talk about the regulators, we're literally talking about, because I'm right under the baby boomer generation, that Generation X, and I see my peers in positions of authority. I see baby boomers, my parents' generation. I see people that spent the last 20, 30 years spending their lives working up a corporate, political, legal system, which it is what it is. We're all born into this world the way it is. All good. And they did great. They became president. They became senator. They became a judge. They became head of the SEC. Whatever. Good for you. And they made a bunch of money. And they got they're sitting in the front rows of their churches, and they're doing very well. They got great status. But they didn't create. You could say they created it by creating by being a part of a system so egregious that people wanted something better. But in reality, they didn't create this other branch of knowledge and technology that other people built value from the ground floor up. Even if you're not Satoshi, all the people flipping open their laptops, their computers, their miners, all the people that are spending their money, losing their money, taking a risk at BitConnect, taking a risk at Uniswap, just in the eco space, learning. Those are the people that are building the cars that have seatbelts to prevent other people from getting hurt. Those are the people that are figuring out how this stuff works. And for me, it makes no sense for people to sit and wait for a group of humans that that have power and not the knowledge, and actually have interest completely diametrically opposed to this new technology flourishing, because this new technology makes so much of these other vocations useless. I mean, it makes it to where those jobs aren't necessary. Like, if we understand what DeFi means, decentralized finance means all those intermediaries that are worth billions of dollars, that you have people going to work every day and sitting in an office and sitting in front of a computer, and they're in charge of your money, and they get to tell you how much you can put in at a time, or how much you can take out, or what you're allowed to invest. Those jobs aren't necessary anymore. Those people need to go find something else in the world to do. And if that means to learn how to build a house or plant a tree, that $100,000+ a year job working for whatever financial company, maybe the last few hundred years put you in a nice house, but right now technology has made it to where we don't need you doing that. Go find another way to add value to the economy. We've got that automated.
Well, yeah, I would say the planners, the money managers, the economists and the statisticians and the data collectors who make decisions about interest rates and bond sales and all that. There's a lot of people get paid a lot to do all that. And in a decentralized financial world with DeFi, with cryptocurrency as serving as a money, you just don't need that. It's all, like you said, it's automated. So yeah, for sure. Now there's still going to be a role for some people to be advisors and investment planners and things like that. But it's going to be diminished significantly compared.
Who do you want as an investment advisor right now? Would you go to JP Morgan and say, I want to know what cryptos are solid? Or would you look on Twitter or Reddit or Discord or find someone who's been involved, or YouTube, and find someone who's been involved with crypto for the last several years? Like, this is the meek shall inherit the earth. The reality is that knowledge right now is in the hands of younger generations that have been building this out. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm saying this as an older generation. I mean, I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps. I've been through some stuff. I've been in financial markets. I've worked in corporations. I've seen a lot of things. It's my generation right now that's in charge of you, a lot of you people. It's my generation. And my parents. I love my dad. We get along great. He's like, hey, how does this Bitcoin work? He doesn't know. Okay. So what we're talking about is an opportunity for older generations to humble themselves and to understand how this new technology works, instead of trying to figure out a way to stay in power and instead of figuring out a way to stay in power and control it. And quick, how does this stuff work? Tell me how it works so I can use my position of authority to tell people how they're allowed to eat. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like it.
Right. I actually want to talk about something which is sort of funny, but funny because it's actually true, and it's sort of sad in a way. A friend of mine, we were talking about how to. He's also from Germany, and he invested in some pre-sales. I invested in some pre-sales, and then we were sort of thinking about how to correctly tax that. Because when did you buy it? Did you buy it when you sent this, or when you received it, when it gets listed, and so on? And then we were thinking that it's still good to have crypto versus traditional finance, because in traditional finance you can always have a situation in the future, for example, where you own a house, for example, you own a car or whatever, and right now, if we're on democracy and so on, and if this law, like normal law going around, it's all fine. But if that someday switches and somebody doesn't like it because you committed in sort of political way someday, they could in theory just take your house, take your whatever, but they can't take your crypto. It sounds sort of like Braveheart-ish, like.
No, you're right. Except
that movie, but that's awesome, right?
It's beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Except for those, and that's why it's important to educate people, because that's the potential. Yet, if we put our hands in Stellar Lumens or Ripple, and I'm not knocking those because maybe they've got programs to liberate the world down the road, but right now there are decentralized blockchains, and then there are centralized blockchains. And centralized blockchains working hand in hand to make CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and they tout, oh, look how cheap and fast you can send on a network. Yeah, it's a centralized network. It's easy to create a cryptocurrency on a centralized network to send it cheap and fast. That's never been the problem. Like anyone can create a blockchain network that's highly centralized and make it that's not the issue. The idea is a security model that no one controls is decentralized that achieves all this. And so these, like, I was listening to guys from Moby Pay, and they're, that's cool for what they do. I mean, I'm not knocking. Everyone's doing their thing, right? But what is their thing? They're doing a fiat on ramp, off ramp for crypto, and they're selling like, oh, we're all this great, but they're just a Stellar Lumens DApp. Universal payment ecosystem. Universal payment ecosystem. That's right. If you register with them, you're registering into an international identity registry. That's where it's going. That's where it's going, where every wallet has to be monitored and verified through the chain. And they'll do things. This is where governments are going. And we've seen this a long time ago. And China's already done this, by the way. Sign up with us and we'll give you free money. We'll airdrop you. Mm-hmm. Use our CBDC. Sign up with your fingerprint. Come in KYC AML. Don't be like one of those underground, bad, illegal, nefarious. Come join the new government-friendly cryptocurrency where we're here to protect you, and we're going to give you free money. Guarantee you. I'm calling center field home run Babe Ruth style, and I guarantee you. That's what they do with money. I mean, when I was in Iraq and we devastated an economy and I was there when people were voting for the first time, dyeing their finger blue, it's that whole out of chaos comes order situation, right? Where, they don't have another money. You ruin their money. I remember seeing money blowing across the desert floor and children running up to us to give it to us as a souvenir for cigarettes or water or anything that they could trade and barter because we literally were a part of ruining a nation's economy. So you do that. And then what do? Well, the military comes in and guess what? We have supplies and food and we shipped in markets and we say, hey, sign up with us. Register, and your family gets a credit card, and they've got access to food and resources again. We'll give you an account, and we'll give you money, and then that's how you. I mean, that's historically how you rope in, cultures into your debt racket. So, as an onboarding system, great. If you're just getting people to come in and buy crypto and then flip it out of Stellar into something else, cool. But that's why I like projects like Verus, or other cryptos out there that are recognizing the coming up with a solution to keeping things purely decentralized and secure and honoring privacy. Because look, yes, you want to be able to pull up a receipt when you can, so you can say this, I can show proof that I sent this transaction, but you also want to be able to spend money on stuff like normal cash expenditure without every transaction you've ever had having some kind of a trail, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous to be like, every cent I bought gum and went to this store and filled up a tank. It's like, I don't need all that. I don't need all that. I don't need all that. The world doesn't need all that. In fact, sometimes I like to buy an ice cream and
forget about it
and not know that I bought ice cream that night. All right, people. Okay. It was dairy free. Give me a break.
What's funny about the other side of the coin, like, for example, in the beginning of crypto, I was really interested in privacy coins, just because of the thinking what would happen if everyone would use them and so on. But later I realized that, for example, Monero, which is basically you could call it the best, quote unquote, the most developed privacy coin, with the best developers, the biggest one. It has been there the longest. They have the newest tech. They have their own research lab coming up with new privacy solutions if the FBI or whatever catches up. And the problem is that in order for them to be so privacy orientated, you cannot check if there is an inflation bug, for example. There could be billions of Monero sitting around. You don't know that because you can't go to the blockchain and check for the supply. Because if he could do that, then he could track those addresses, and then
Right.
privacy goes away, right? So it's always funny that in
I remember
every
that.
system you have these trade-offs, these other side of the coins. Okay, if you increase this, you have to decrease this, and then you have this trade-off. And so it's fascinating, right?
Yeah, there's you do one thing and you solve one problem.
Now I believe the fact that Komodo being a fork of Bitcoin and has its code, it's tried, true, and tested. I believe that Verus being a soft fork of Komodo, which means there was no pre-mine, no ICOs, no airdrops. So if you soft fork, meaning if you had Komodo and they started Verus, you don't get any free Verus. There was no free Verus given out to anybody. From what I understand, that code is verified, and one of the main developers was a Microsoft 1995 developer.
Ooh, one of the best.
One of the best, dude. They're home run, man.
Windows 95.
Yeah. Windows 98 was pretty good too.
Windows 95, one of the head developers of Windows 95 is one of the head guys, and he understands computers and he understands what's going on in networks, and he's all about the self-sovereign, decentralized, creating various networks so that this ties in browser style. Like this thing is made to connect. Nice. I'm very, very bullish on what.
Do you know what it's trading at right now, or any idea?
Nope. I can find out.
Later. I'm gonna look into this more.
I'll tell you what's cool. I'll tell you one thing real cool about it, because Oink and the team are so cool, and they helped me out when I was freaking out thinking I lost some money, and they're like, no, you didn't lose it. You just almost lost your mind. I'll tell you this. If you go to safe.trade, no AML, no KYC, all you need to have is two-factor authentication. So you need to have a Google app on your phone to make sure you're safe. And you can log in, create a free account, and Verus Bitcoin right there. Bada bing, bada boom. It's up 18% in the last 24 hours. I'm not surprised. This thing just keeps growing, and it's young. The thing is like it's not many people know about it. I feel very confident that when the more people, like what you were saying, René, I've been following this stuff for years too, and I feel you. I know about that Monero issue. I'm familiar with, Ethereum and these other, like the other problems with crypto that need to be worked out. And when you look at that, then you start to see why something like a Verus coin is like the sleeping dragon. It's like, while cryptocurrency is trying to work out the bugs and the kinks, you've got a project that's like, well, we're gonna wait until we fix this stuff before we roll out. And I don't mean Cardano style. I don't mean like we're gonna wait for 10 years and wait till people do stuff. Wait, see what they do so we can do it. They already foresaw the problems and actually built a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake chain that's functioning and doing its thing, and they're building stacks on top of it right now, slowly but surely. So anyone can get it right now. I love that they give people a gateway to get into it. No, they've got a great community. They just got a great community. But to answer your question, let me find out what it's worth, because I don't know.
Then we can talk a bit about Wise.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Right? Check out 76 cents is what I saw.
There he is. So here we go. There's Verus. Right now, it's only okay. So it's been around. The soft fork's been around since Jan 19. So it's a couple years old. Relatively new. I think they just they've been working behind the scenes, but they've just unrolled in the last year or two. They just, like in the last few months, they just unrolled a lot of their products because they're into not rolling things out until they're done and completed. They don't talk about stuff until it's done. That's their big thing. So when you hear them talk about stuff, it means like they've already tested it, it's functioning, go use it, and they're working on the next thing. So I heard them. This is where they're at right now. Let's go take a look at freaking Wise.
Yeah, I can talk a bit about what I'm doing currently at the moment for the last weeks. For example, with lending, because I'm mainly focused on lending. Other people in the team are focused on the Binance thing. I also did some research on there with the validator nodes and so on, how that works, how much APY, which validator nodes.
Is there a screen I should go to, or is this a good one right here?
No, it's fine. There's no visual explanation to the things I'm talking about, unfortunately.
That's
so
all right.
I have to paint the picture with my words.
Do it, brother.
Just like Marco Polo. But I'm not as good as Marco Polo, obviously. So, yeah, no. So the last weeks, me and Christoph, you haven't met him. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him since day one in physics, actually. He's currently finishing. Right now he's like 2 master's degrees, and he starts his PhD with the second degree right now. And in his hobby he is like in his free time, he's working with me on Wise, and he also helped me with insurance. For example, we were simulating sort of customer behavior and sort of certain risks models and so on. And I love working with him. It's just always a lot of fun, and we're working on lending like pretty hard the last weeks. And we made sort of a breakthrough in that we had 3 sort of milestones before we could say, okay, let's start to code it. Okay. And one of the milestones was we needed to find a way to assign the interest APYs and the global borrow rates in a way where not with every transaction we have to update everyone's sort of information. And now we found a way to do it extremely efficiently, such that it doesn't care when you join or when you leave. It always references a certain variable, which looks at the whole pool. So it's only 2 lines of code then every time. So it's gas cost efficient.
Nice.
And we're super happy about that. We found that this was, it was awesome.
Beautiful.
So, okay, yeah, no, ask questions if you interrupt me anytime.
And if anyone is in the chat right now, hit the like button. Where René, the mathematician of Wise Token, they're working on other projects and lending. He's talking about a lending protocol and what it's going to take to build. Because Wise Token, as you know, is a complete decentralized finance protocol built on the Ethereum network. It's a time deposit. It's an ETH bond. It's being built with cousins and bridges to other blockchains, and it's only a couple months old. It's literally crypto is brand new, and Wise Token is absolutely one of the latest iterations and innovations in blockchain. So if you're a fan of DeFi and you know about Ethereum or crypto, then you need to take a look at Wise Token and what they're doing, and take a listen. If you have questions, René's here, so feel free to hit the like button in the chat and ask René. He won't bite, not through the Zoom. He's nice, he's calm, he's cool, he's collected. So no question's a bad question. But if it's nasty, we'll mute you. So
sure, there's always a border.
So I'm excited about this. So when do you think? And I'm not rushing; it doesn't matter. What do you think is the realistic time frame to have lending? And what's going to be the lending offered? So you lock up Wise Token.
This is. I don't know how familiar you are with this, but we have really crazy plans for that, because I have to go a bit into the history how that developed, because Peter's idea was that, it would be cool if you have a stake and you get a loan on it, for example, DAI or ETH, right? And while we're sort of starting to develop or trying to see how to make it efficient, easily programmable and so on, we realized that. And also looking into how other people are doing it, like Harvey and Compound and so on, how they're doing it. Like me and Christopher were like, well, it's kind of centralized. It's kind of inefficient what you're doing here, because I can get a bit into it if you want. I just love talking about this stuff. So
do it. Get into it.
Okay. So the traditional DeFi way of doing it is that you have a certain pool, let's say DAI, and you deposit it and you want to earn interest, right? And people from outside can borrow your DAI and they need to pay interest. And what they do is they say, okay, we have a variable which we call utilization, or it's just usage of the pool itself. So if you have a certain pool, like a certain size of the pool, let's say 1,000 DAI, for example, if people borrow 500 DAI from it, the utilization would be 50%, right, of the pool. Okay? People can borrow from the pool and pay interest and so on. So what they have is they say, well, if people borrow from that pool, the more it gets used, the higher the borrow rate is going to be for the whole pool. So it's just a function of the usage of the pool. If not a lot is used, the borrow rate is low to incentivize further borrowers, right? But if it's going to be used too much, we don't want that, because then we have liquidity issues. Because what if people who put up funds for the pool, who want to earn interest, want to get out and want to, get their money back? Also not good. So what they say is, well, there's sort of a sweet spot in there, which we call U optimum, which is a utilization optimum. And they say, well, let's say for a stable coin, 80%. Let's say 80% usage of the pool is optimal. And then they say, okay, we have a slope between 0 and that optimum, which is very smooth. So you start from, let's say, 1% borrow rate if nobody has bought anything yet, to 20%, for example, for 80% usage. And then it gets very steep. So it goes up to like ridiculous numbers, because you want to disincentivize overusing the pool, basically. But the problem is those slopes, like the first slope up until the optimum, and the second slope, as well as the optimal usage percentage, is arbitrary. They said that. They can change that. And for every asset, they have different numbers for that. They can also change that. And this is also one of the reasons why they need to sort of observe. And if for example, let's say you're a token and you want to be added to RVO compound or whatever, then they have to observe them very long time to come up with these numbers, with these estimations. And we thought, like, there's a better way to do it, And then we just researched it, and I think we found a way, but we're still simulating and doing the fine print to make it completely sort of feedback sensitive, like with certain trends. Let's talk about this maybe outside of the stream, but yeah, it's right up my alley, because it's like really fascinating, and like
that's huge.
Every day,
so. I hear what you just said. That's huge. I love it, brother. That's awesome. So, oh man, it was on the tip of my tongue. I want to repeat what I just heard from you in a more, but
one more thing. Like, don't forget what you're trying to say. What I'm saying is that we're not only going to have WISE as collateral. We can have any ERC20, and we're not going to be reliant on oracles like they, which is also an attack vector.
Wait, thank you. That's reminding me. The way Aave and Compound and these others work, and many of them pretty much copy the same model. They make small changes to governance tokens. They make small little changes, but they're all pretty much copies of the same thing. And what y'all did is you looked to see the mathematical model of how they determine their collateralization and their lending rate, and you said, well, this isn't the only way to do it. We can come up with another way, because they're using chain link price oracles, and they've had flash loan hacks. They've all had flash loan hacks and have all had issues. And basically you're saying, hey, I think we can create a way to allow people to lend, lock in collateral on the smart contract, use less gas fees, make it less complex and less vulnerable. So basically what you're saying is, because of what you've been trying to do with Wise Token, you've inadvertently stumbled upon a way to potentially have a more secure way of lending collateral in general. And that being with Wise will just also open up Wise.
Yep. That's what we're trying to accomplish right now, and so far it looks pretty good. But who knows? I mean, who knows? I always try to reserve my hope because of my poker background,
Yeah.
So because of the mindset thing. But yeah, it's looking very good so far. And also, the good thing is, since we're not, like, our oracle is basically Uniswap, so this is our price oracle, and you cannot.
That's brilliant.
You cannot, sort of game that. There's some sort of ways we can get into more details and that. But the good thing is, since the other forks of Uniswap, like SushiSwap, for example, they have basically the same code, the only minor changes. We can launch parallel, like 2 different systems with pools for every token on SushiSwap and Uniswap without any major changes. And also on PancakeSwap, if there's some sort of Uniswap on and there's Wise on ADA, we can launch it there as well. We can launch it everywhere, That's the plan.
So for me, my question is, I love the plan. I think for me, I long-term vision, I think this is one of the things that will actually make Wise Token a more viable currency for the world than anything else. Because here's what I love about Wise: the fact that you make it, no matter who you are, it's the most ethical, equitable, decentralized system. Period. The fact that you monetize time. I don't care what your asset is. If it's Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's backing it, fine. Wise Bitcoin. Do a Wise backed by Bitcoin. Do a Wise backed by Cardano. But the fact of the matter is, no, the pink elephant in the room is every proof of work chain tends to centralization on some level. Every proof of stake chain tends to centralization on some level through the nodes. So to create a system that says no matter what chain you're on, proof of work, proof of stake, Wise Token is always going to monetize time equally. Everyone's always going to get the same time monetization. That right there is the way money should be, as it should. From my perspective, if we're going to see money flourish for people using cryptographic blockchain technology, it's using it to make it the most ethical and equal way for people. This is it, to make it to where every human being has equal access to the monetary inflation based upon how much they choose to save. Period. End of story. The future of governments shouldn't be people printing all the money and telling you what you have to pay for. It should be people running around with their hats saying, I promise that our service is great and we're doing a great job and we're transparent and please fund us. And they should be responsible to people. They should be held accountable for asking people for money for what they promise they'll be able to do. And if they don't do it, then people can go spend their cryptocurrency with another group that's going to offer to do the same thing,
Yes.
I'm actually curious, Ryan. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was curious about something. I don't know if I might already talk with Lucas about that, so I'm going to ask you because I realized something recently, and I think it's fun to think about those things. Obviously, Lucas too, but that somebody had the idea. Or rather, he asked if that is possible for Binance-wise, and I realized it is actually mathematically equivalent to Wise, but it's still psychologically different. So let's imagine we're not. By the way, you're not going to do that. It's just a thought experiment. It's kind of a fun way to think about Wise as a deflationary asset in a way, because let's say we would make Binance-wise, and instead of having 4% inflation globally and assign it to people who stake, we would have a rebase token, where you stake, you keep the amount of tokens you have, but if you don't stake, it reduces the amount of tokens you have. Mathematically, it's the same thing, right? You end up with more purchasing power
if you
stake, right?
But you're creating a disincentive for not staking.
Yeah, but you're already doing that with the normal Wise system as well. It's the same, right? It's the same thing. But the psychological factor, like the upside, would be that people see that, the price is rising, right? Without anybody doing anything. The downside would be that people who don't stake, they look at their wallets and they see tokens disappearing and they think like, oh my God, something's happening, somebody stole my tokens or whatever. But
it'd be like a negative interest rate in a sense, right?
So you're talking about bringing Dogecoin? I was out for a little bit. Were y'all talking about Dogecoin? I slipped out my mind.
Oh no, it was just a thought experiment.
No, I'm just kidding.
He was kidding. I knew it.
So Dogecoin tokenomics, or that and I actually read an article about this and it made me laugh, dude, because this guy has like an MBA. He's like a CPA, but he doesn't know anything about economics. I understand he's a CPA, and he was.
What is a CPA? What is a CPA?
Accountant.
An accountant.
An accountant, okay. Mm-hmm.
And he wrote this article about, and this is like when Elon Musk was pumping Doge, and it was becoming real popular. So all the people that are fans were just saying like, Doge is going to be the next, is the real currency to take over the world and Mars. And this guy wrote an article saying that. And now, by the way, the new buzzword you'll see everywhere is called hoarding. Now, when you're saving, they're calling you a hoarder. Now,
well, that's like a remix of an old jam that we've known from back in the day.
I know, but it's happening all over again. So all over, you hear people saying on CNBC or on mainstream networks or even in crypto communities, like, "Oh, okay, well, the problem is you have people not spending it; they're hoarding it." It's like, that's not a problem. It's normal in markets for people to hold on and to save when they. It's like it's funny because when they do the exact same thing in traditional markets, they don't use the word hoarding. You know, they speculate.
Investing,
They're
saving.
long, they're short. You know,
Right.
they use different words, but it's like, okay, I'm not hoarding. I'm just real long.
And you heard this.
I'm real bullish.
This is crypto, right? You're talking about criticizing crypto markets for people hoarding. Is that the context?
Yeah.
Hoarding is the new long.
Okay. Well,
but the guy with the guy's article, let me fast forward. So the point of his article is this. He said, Dogecoin is better for being a money because unlike other cryptos that people hoard because they expect the value to go up, Dogecoin prints so much that
spend it.
You have to want to spend it. And I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, this is not the recipe for a worldwide currency.
No. That's not even the recipe for a regional currency.
No, this is negative interest rates. You know, this is like saying, and by the way, I want to, I don't know if I can make this into an NFT because I want to create, this is Grisham's Law. This is Grisham's Law. GRISHAM''S. Grisham's Law.
I only know the author.
No.
The
original's Gresham's. You got to use an E. Yeah. There's no such thing. You won't find it, René.
This is Lucas's.
I'm making this up. I'm telling you the new one. Okay. Grisham's Law. And a lot of people and Ryan and I have been talking about this since we were studying economics together. Okay. If you look up Gresham's Law, GRESHAM''S, Gresham's Law says that bad money drives out good money. That's the law. It's an economic law. It's considered to be an economic fact. Okay.
Well, let me put an apostrophe or an asterisk on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad money drives out good money when there's price controls artificially valuing the bad money and artificially undervaluing the
or just say legal tender laws.
Well, yeah, but it's key that it's a price control.
Can you give me an historical example?
One and underweights the other.
Can you give me can you guys give me
silver and gold. Yeah. Silver and gold are the classic examples of Gresham's Law in effect. What would happen would be gold would be there'd be some kind of a debasement, usually of gold, right? And so it would fall in value. Or it would take more silver to buy gold, right? But what would happen would be there'd be a price control saying, no, we're going to maintain the peg, this much silver for this much gold. And what happens is that people say, well, hell, you know, if you're going to artificially undervalue the gold that I can get, you end up spending the more valuable coin, which can be the weaker money, and you hoard the good one, right? And so what happens is that the good money goes out of circulation, the one that's undervalued, because no one wants to spend something and not get their full value for it. It goes into hoards, no one spends it, and then the bad money circulates because they're like a hot potato. Everybody's like, well, okay, you know, if it's overvalued, I'm
right.
going to spend that.
But so what the pink elephant in the room that they don't tell people when they're getting a degree in economics and they're teaching this as a law, it's not like a law like other laws of human interaction and stuff like that. This is a law that requires political mandates in order for it to be effective. So it's not a law. It's a poorly written it's a tendency, right? And it only is legitimate when you have a group of people mandating to other people what money they have to use. That's the asterisk that they don't tell people. They tell people bad money drives out good money, but bad money only drives out good money when you have people mandated to accept that as payment. Now, here's Grisham's Law. You ready for this? Grisham's Law is that good money drives out bad money in a free society.
Right.
Yeah, no price controls.
in a free society, good money drives out bad money. That's it right there. Grisham's Law.
Yep.
Thank you to Mr. Grisham for that. That's Grisham's law. You know, forget Gresham's
I
law.
see.
Grisham's law is good money. We need to teach people. That's what crypto.
And you can see this. You see this in effect right now with people flowing out of the dollar in fiat currencies
Yeah.
into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and on and on. Everything else but the fiat systems.
And their only reservation is, well, what if people who are in charge of laws change things to mess up what I'm doing? That's literally the only thing stopping people from just opening the floodgates to this new technology. Is like,
right.
Well, I still know a lot of people that are in charge of making laws right now. And
we don't know how they're going to react.
And we don't know what they're going to say tomorrow. So that's, yeah.
I mean, last time we talked a bit about like deflation, inflation, and maybe you can, like, I thought about this a bit more after our conversation. And if you have a deflationary currency, it doesn't matter if it's, we could argue if Wise is deflationary or not. If you make that mathematical transformation, which I just talked about, you actually realize it sort of is, because you get incentivized to stake, so not to spend it, right? So it is, if you look at purchasing power, it is kind of deflationary, also for other reasons, because of trading fees and so on, but let's not get into that. Let's say we have some sort of deflationary money, in the sense that you are incentivized to not spend it, right? Let's say that would be the whole world currency for a second.
Okay.
This then, obviously, like, companies are not incentivized to produce a lot of shit. That's, sorry for my language, but because people are not incentivized to buy a lot which they don't need. So, like, I get, this is why I'm like asking you guys, because you're more into the traditional finance, education and so on. What I get a lot, or what I hear a lot from these people is, no, deflationary currency doesn't work, because it sort of sets this like spiral into place where there's nobody's going to work anymore, nobody's going to produce anything anymore. But in a sense, like, I still need food, I still need, to travel somewhere, I still need to consume something. So that means somebody's still incentivized to do something, but maybe in a more longevity way now, because it's good to hold that money and not spend it. So I'm only going to spend it for very high quality things, right? And they're not. Is that logic false, or?
Well, this is actually a really good discussion, and it would probably take an entire hour unto itself to really map out all the little intricate parts of it. But to boil it down into something simple, I think that you have to separate good deflation from bad deflation. And make that separation. So good deflation is when prices gently fall because of production. So every year there's more units of whatever it is produced, and the idea there is that more units facing a similar, or demand's growing maybe at a slower pace, and the production's outpacing demand, and so prices gently fall. You see it in electronics, you see it in many things. You see it in automobiles. You see it mostly produced goods and services, human labor, the expenditure of human labor for services, whether it's like health or education or whatever, those products are tending to become more expensive. But the produced things are always tend to get cheaper, right? And that's a beneficial kind of deflation. That's what we call economic growth. So that's good. Now, the bad kind of deflation would be when you get a panic. This happens in recessions. This is what recessions are. People panic the future. They don't believe the future in the immediate term is going to be very good. They think their incomes could fall. They don't know if their investments are going to be good. They don't feel like there's going to be consumer demand growing for whatever industry they may be attached to. So there's less spending, less investment. People they save, and they weather the event, hoping to have money, for whenever things change, right? And so those collective decisions, while they might be individually rational, they add up to making it a self-fulfilling prophecy, where there's even less spending and prices have to fall. Even the pressure pushing prices down mounts even more. And so what happens is, in economics, you have this concept called sticky wages or sticky prices. Wages are sticky more than anything, but prices are sticky too. And what that means is that there might be downward pressure, but the price doesn't move that quick in the immediate term. But ultimately, it will. Like when you look at a longer term, whether it's a year or 2 or 3 years, prices will correct. They will come down if there's a recession, if that's what's going on. But in the short term, they might not. They might just kind of hover where they're at. And so the price adjustment might not work immediately. And in those situations, you get layoffs, you get idle resources, you get massive inventories piling up because people aren't spending money. And this can can become a full-blown depression. Ultimately, it can wipe out the future of the economy. So it really depends on what you mean by deflation, how you're thinking. Like when you use the word, what kind of deflation are we talking about? Because they're not equal.
Right.
And in terms of just a deflationary currency,
that's great.
I think that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because we're not talking about one currency. We're talking about having a basket of currencies that are going to be all having different services, different options, trading against each other. So if one currency is not expanding its supply enough and deemed relative to what people's needs are, then we have other currencies that will or may do that, right? So I don't really think a deflationary currency, but then again, you could create a deflationary currency that its structure just invalidated its own reason for being. You wouldn't want something that nobody ever intended to spend because the prices because
everybody would get that and exchange everything for that, right?
But we're talking about deflation through productivity is different. Like when you have deflation through productivity is a good thing. So we're not talking about a currency that has deflationary tokenomics. We're talking about, and when people talk about deflations in current markets, and what Ryan was just describing, that happens in traditional markets after you've had a heroin fusion, like a super pump of liquidity and money for years. Like when we see recessions and depressions, that's actually just what has to happen to correct from the glut from how much was pumped into a market. So when you see like a WISE token that inflates at 4% a year, or
by the way,
what's that?
Maximum 4%.
Maximum, right? Maximum 4% a year. What happens is that if you get deflationary prices, all that means is that the productivity of people is outgrowing the money that's coming out onto the scene. That's a good thing. That means productivity is growing, and it's baked in. People know that there's still money coming along. It's just deflationary compared to how much growth is going on in the market. Those. That's natural. Just like in gold, you have gold supplies where people are out mining it, and you'd have a huge, one year, you'd have a huge amount of gold. We just found a huge gold supply. Oh, a big amount of inflation to the money system that everyone's using. What's funny is it's called in logic the nirvana fallacy, where everyone always tries to compare something to some perfection that's never existed. It's like, in reality, let's look at how monetary systems work right now and how they've always worked. And then you realize like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a diamond in the rough. I mean, we are straight up light years ahead of what human beings have been using for money. Get over it. If we can build all this amazing stuff with how crappy money's been run for the last 1,000+, imagine what we can create with a monetary system that's more transparent and more ethical and more equitable, in its operation. So, gold, you never know what the inflation will be one year or the next. There's a huge gold mine found. Great. We got inflation. It's slow the next year, prices, whatever. It's a little bit slower. So, when you look at like what Milton Friedman said with trying to make a money, have a standard inflation rate that markets can calculate off of, that's basically what cryptocurrency's done, whether it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Komodo, Verus, Wise token, this, that. You have protocols that are so transparent, people can actually make their calculations, their capital calculations over time with an understanding of what's going to be happening to the monetary system. That is something that humanity that people haven't been able to appreciate in written history.
That's a good point that you brought up what Friedman said. The money he put forward this idea that there should be a money growth rule. He didn't want to have central bankers having to figure out from one period to the next what was the appropriate amount of money to produce, because that's a big question. Mm-hmm. He figured, well, we'll just sidestep that issue. We'll program it. We'll just create a 3% increase per year and just forget about trying to plan that out, be smarter than the market.
But take that a step further, and instead of that 3% being automated to the government and to the central banks, make the 3% go to any human being who chooses to save right out of their bank account.
Well, that was kind of the next point. With crypto, we've kind of got we've unified, or not we, but the people, this program, this movement, this revolution in money has unified Friedman's idea, programming the supply increase, with Hayek's idea, another free market economist who talked about denationalizing money. He has a little book, probably worth reading if you. It's not very thick if anybody is interested, but it's called the Denationalization of Money, the Argument, or something like that. But anyway, it's about the idea that there could be baskets or not baskets, competing private forms of money, and he didn't envision. I don't believe he talks about anything cryptographic or digital. It was all, in his mind. He was writing this in the 70s, I believe. So this was
and the Friedman guy. When did he think about those?
70s?
No, not Hayek. The Friedman.
70s?
Oh, Friedman. Friedman's work. He was concurrent with Hayek. 70s and 80s. 70s and 90s too, but really
right before the cypherpunk movement, with Adam Back leading the. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna spill out the secrets yet. Sorry. I can give you some infos on that, by the way, if you're interested on the site.
Yeah, please do.
Yep. And it sounds fun. I was actually going to, just because you're sitting in your library, Ryan. I was going to ask you for your one top. I know it's hard to choose, but give me your one top book recommendation but the book has to be in your library.
Okay.
Right now at the moment. So even if it's in the living room, it's out.
But hey, I'm gonna help him out, René. I'm gonna help out Ryan. You look, you narrow it down. Do you want it to be on money? Do you want it to be on psychology of markets? Do you want it to be on government and economics?
Yeah. Pick a theme.
Pick a theme. Because he
I've got a few.
I would be interested in history of money the most.
History of money?
Yeah.
Okay, let me think about that. I would say
pull it out. George. Don't even say. Just go pull out. Go pull out.
Go pull it out.
Go pull it out. Go pull out your top. Hey, pull out your top 2 or 3.
I'm gonna write it down.
Your top 2 or 3, Ryan. Pull out your top 2 or 3, dude.
On money. We're talking about money.
History of money.
Yeah.
How it works. I'm telling you, dude.
Yeah.
I really like this book right here.
What's it called?
Selgin's Good Money.
Who's the author again?
George Selgin.
Selgin. Can you spell it for me?
Selgin.
Gin. George Selgin. Okay.
Good Money. Yep.
Yeah.
This is actually interesting. It goes back to the period of 1775 to 1821, and talks about private coinage, popular coinage. So there was competing private mints that people would bring their coins to or their raw lumps of gold and silver and have them minted into coins, and this circulated, and this created this private money system, and it was relatively stable. It's an interesting story.
And you find after those systems that it was local states and governments that that didn't have enough control of the money because of this free-for-all monetary system, where you started seeing the nationalization and the politicalization of money.
Ooh, another one.
Hey, by the way, if you guys, if you're just jumping into the stream, I'm here with Ryan. I'm here with René, the mathematician of the official Wise Token team. We're talking about money. We're talking about cryptocurrency, markets. If you want to learn about DeFi, if you want to know more about Wise, and feel free to ask us a question, and feel free to do the right thing and hit the like button. That's the right thing to do right now.
So this is a history of money and banking in the United States. Murray Rothbard. Controversial author. I like a lot of his stuff. Some of the other stuff I don't sign on to. But this book is a great history of what kind of led up to the centralization of money in the United States. So when we had a state banking system, prior to the nationalization of the banking system in the United States, prior to the Fed, you get to see the way that system worked and where the breakdowns were, and also where the positives were. because in the state-based system, you did have banks that would act as checks on each other. So it wasn't a completely private system. The states would give monopolies, and they would give out charters, and they'd give out essentially like a right to be a banker in that state. And these were somewhat exclusive, not easy to get. But but these banks between themselves serves as a check on each other, because, like Lucas was mentioning, when a bank would print up a little more money than it had, and extend its credit beyond its reserves, other banks would get wind of it. They would they would redeem those notes on that bank, and that would reduce their reserves, and it would serve as this check on banks' ability to inflate. And that system, it kind of worked to an extent, and then it broke down, and this is in the book, but it's this fascinating story of competing monetary regimes, and also kind of what money looked like prior to the nationalization at the federal level.
And so what the banks decided to do, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. I'm going to give you a spoiler. So after some time of banks recognizing they didn't want to compete with each other, a few of the big dogs said, why don't we just pay politicians to make it to where that when we print money, people can't come redeem it on us. And that's why you've had
that central bank.
That's what a central bank is.
Inauguration.
That's what central bank is, and that's why you had banking holidays, where the government would pass laws that would ban people from actually, they would close the banks down, and you literally couldn't go get your money. And they actually do the same thing today. This is why we actually have banks that limit how much people can pull out of their account in a day, out of an ATM machine, or even out of your 401ks and your pensions. They're highly limited to what you can actually pull out. It's all sitting in there in numbers, but if you actually try to pull your money out, they're heavily taxed, heavily penalized for pulling out early. And, these are all done to artificially deflationary, to prevent people from having access to money. It's deflationary when you have a bank printing and printing and printing and printing and printing out a lot of money. If they can keep if they can keep you from getting to that money or spending it, then they're preventing the inflation. Right. So a lot of it's just locked up. You're seeing prices go up, and you're still not even able to access your money to go spend stuff. But that's what the central bank is. That's why I think that's probably why Henry Ford had that famous quote that said, if people understood how the banking system worked, there'd be a revolution in the streets tomorrow. And the reality is that it's funny because people are like, oh, BitConnect, or oh, Bernie Madoff, or oh, Enron, or oh, fill in the blank. And the reality is like the monetary system is a Ponzi scheme. Like, it literally is a Ponzi scheme. You're just saying that you believe the people in charge of it are good guys and that they're here to take after you. But
they know what they're doing, right?
That's
what you believe in.
That's it. You just believe that they know what they're doing, and that they work their way up to power and authority to protect you, and that the system that's been working for a long time is there to equalize and make everyone equal and make the world a better place, and they're just there fulfilling that role as a money manager for the people. But it is a Ponzi scheme. It is pyramided up and inflated to the tunes of trillions with not the backing.
Yeah. Right. What was the author again? The name of the author from The History of Money and Banking?
That was Murray Rothbard. Rothbard.
Hey, we also got a question. Jacob Garcia. It's always good to have him on. I want to have him on a stream one day. He's just got some great insights. But hey, could you clear that up, Jacob? If you had a question on that, but he made a good comment. I feel something that a lot of people struggle with understanding money. Something that I feel trips up my friends and family is the elasticity of money and what creates a store of value. So I'm trying to unpack that a little bit. So if you can be more clear, but I know that the conversation of elasticity in money and store of value are things that we love to talk about, and I'm sure Ryan will jump all over it.
Yeah, well, I don't know what creates a store of value. I guess, value is, you can't really create the store of value.
Time security. Yeah. I guess if it's a store of value, then what creates store of value is confidence in something over time.
Something that's not fraudulent or easily to be debased.
Like, that's it. Not easily debased or can be manipulated. That's why gold was a store of value, because you can't just make gold out of something else. So because it can be not corrupted and debased and preserved over long periods of time, and so that's the allure of Bitcoin.
Finite.
It's
That's
finite.
the word.
There you
It
go.
needs to be finite.
There you go.
And that's where Monero slips up. Right.
Right.
Yeah, but because who knows?
That's right. And that means that even if you had a monetary system, even if, let's say that the whole world said, you know what, we're going to make Monero the system. For all you know, there's a small group of people that can just print it on the back door, and you'll
theory, right?
And no one will ever know.
Right.
And that fact is enough. Like, even if it doesn't happen, just the option of it being there is enough to poison the whole trust.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
And it's just like the old statement in about monopolies. It's that even if you can have the threat of entering the market, that's enough to discipline the other competitors to charge good, decent prices or be fair with their customers. The threat of it is enough to shape everything going forward.
Yeah,
for the better or the worse.
Yeah, guys, I have to leave soon. It's very late.
That's all good, brother.
I have to sleep.
We went long, but this was a lot of fun. I'm glad you had the time. Thanks for taking the time to catch us up and just to shoot the breeze. We'll do this again soon. Ryan and we're revamping our website. And did I show you this, René? Did I show you this?
I only looked into it a bit, to be honest. I haven't had the time to really grasp it because there's something going on with like splitting up referrals with different lengths and so on, and I didn't quite understand it from the get-go. So
what it is it's a custom ladder staking tool. I'm gonna be putting a video out on this soon, but this is for Wise Token, and anyone can use it, and it's completely customizable. Put how much Wise you want to stake, when you want the first stake to mature. How often you want them to mature. Then you create the table, and then you can literally customize what percentage, at what percentage, how much Wise you want each stake. But then, like you said, bada bing, bada boom. Hey, there's René. Oh, cool. Well, hey, I want to support Devin.
Somebody knows my address.
Hey, I want to support what these guys are doing over there. I want to support. Wise. I can't self-refer, but you get the point. And there's so Amelia, I'm gonna do a video, and I'm gonna do it for her charity to help reimburse, and of course what I also did. Here's the kicker. You ready for this? As more people learn about Wise, and as more people understand the potential of Wise, this was the real beauty. And we've also got all those guys who've put in Wise, DeFi Man. We've got WG Crypto, and I've got Wise Wise Info is here too. We got all Dirty Crypto, DeFi Man. Yeah. So, but check it out. Custom. Now enter your church. Enter your charity. Enter your family member.
Just as a part, like even if you don't want to do the whole thing, right?
You can do all of them custom.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, because you can sort of split up the whole amount percentage.
Yes, you can split the percentage. You can split exactly how your ladder is, and you can also choose who you share the CM referral distribution to. So you can give CM benefit to different people. And if you want to help your family achieve CM status, you can hit multiple people under one ladder stake. It allows people to customize. So I'll be doing a video soon to show people how to use it. And there is someone I want to do a special gift for, a YouTuber. Have you heard of a guy named Omar Bam? He has a YouTube channel called Crypto.
Yeah, I've heard of him, but I haven't looked into him.
So
to be honest,
he's been a proponent of crypto for the ethical, decentralized component of crypto. He's not just about how to get rich. He's just been a great voice in crypto. So I've been listening to his channel among many others for years to hear what they got to say. So I'm gonna throw him a little shout out when I do my video, because the whole point is to help bring other people in the community to show them how this can be used to benefit people.
Visibility is everything. But we have also all sorts of plans on that as well. But we have to sort of, as you're all aware of what's going on with CoinGecko and so on, we have to sort of swim through the sea of corruption at the moment a little bit to get a bit more visible. But let's talk about this another time, I think.
For sure. We'll do it next time. I know it's late. Go pee.
Take care.
Take care of business, brother.
Later, René.
Hey, thank you for stopping by. And
Bye. See you around.
I'm gonna end the live. I'm gonna tell people, hey guys, thank you for stopping by. And
Hey, before you do that, let me say one final thing to
oh yeah,
Jacob.
take your time. Do you want me to go to a
Jacob
page?
made well on the chat screen. Jacob says that he was explaining to a friend about how crypto is more equitable because it's transparent. You can see where the money flows, unlike fiat. And I think that's a good point. Another good point would be that no one's forced to use fiat. Or I'm sorry, reverse that. No one's forced to use crypto, but you have to use fiat if you pay your taxes.
Right.
That's kind of if you listen to the MMT theorists, the modern monetary theorists, they'll tell you that money comes into being through the taxing facility of governments. That governments make money by dictating people pay their taxes in some medium of some sort, and that then becomes money. Well, let's just grant that's true. I don't believe it is, but let's just grant it is. That's a big strike against it in terms of being equitable and fair. It's like, how equitable or ethical is something that only has value or efficacy if you've got a gun to your head. Otherwise, the whole thing breaks down.
Right.
So right there, I'd say that's the best argument for crypto, is that, hey, there's no violence here. You either use it or you don't. No one's going to shoot you or put you in jail if you don't use it. You don't have. No one's going to force you to pay anything in it in that medium. It's up to you. You choose it if you want to or not. The other thing is that a lot of these crypto projects distribute the inflation or the new supply through a staking interest protocol. So you're actually returning the money back to the users in a very fair and egalitarian and ethical way. Whereas when central banks create new money, it usually gets loaned in and given to big banks and Wall Street and very small pool of people who can use it to start wars or get rich, become even wealthier. It's not equitable. It's not ethical. It's definitely not transparent. So there's if you're going to make that argument, I would think about those 2 points as well.
And also, his next comment, he said, but he is of the belief that something has to be physical to be a money system. And I would say, well, tell your brother that we've already passed that, because most money in circulation isn't physical. The reality is that
3%.
3% is physical. The reality is all the money that people are using is credit cards, it's on the computer, it's all electronic. It's all electronic ledgers. It's been mostly electronic ledgers for a long time. That's what makes cryptocurrency so great. We're talking about a distributed electronic ledger that can't be forged or counterfeited. So I hope we gave you some pointers there. And if you have anything else, give us a shout. Hey, 19 people, hit that thumbs up so you can give us a hand so there's more than 2, unless these are all robots watching us. That's cool. We'll get it later. If you watch us later, hit the thumbs up and give us a hand. And we'll look forward to bringing more interviews with other people doing beautiful things in DeFi and in cryptocurrency projects. And of course, we'll always update you when we learn what's going on with the team at Wise Token and what they're building out to keep you updated. And hey, thank you very much for joining. Happy Venus Day. Happy Friday. We will be on track with our live stream coming up this Monday. May have a special guest for you. You have to tune in to find out or hit the notification bell. And other than that, I'm going to say namaste. Have a beautiful day and let Ryan have the last word.
Oh, thanks. Oh, well, I don't know what to say. You kind of wrapped it up. Thanks for sharing your time with us. And we will be back with another live stream soon. Thank you.
Rock and roll. Ish.
Cool.
Sweet, dude. That was great, man.